Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Media Talks TV with your host, Tony J. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, click the like, click the share, and hit the bell for notifications. All right, we're going to jump into it. I was going to make another follow-up video to the one that I made 3 weeks ago about Tyler Perry's Divorce in Black. And I will tell you, it was the worst 2 hours of filming that I have ever seen in my life. I mean, if you want to waste your life watching this movie, be my guest. Like I said before in the previous video, you're wasting your time dealing with Tyler Perry at this point. Because, like I said, once you watch a Tyler Perry movie, you're basically watching the same thing, only with a different title. Everybody that is reviewing this movie is saying, it's kind of 50-50 right now. Some people like it, some people don't. People said that it was horrible, it was contentious, that the stories felt pieced together. And even when I watched it, the story really, really felt pieced together. And hear me out on this one, because I'm going to be very critical of this when I break it down. First 10 minutes of the movie, spoiler alert, first 10 minutes of the movie, we see a fat black woman mean mugging the shit out of the whole congregation. Every Tyler Perry movie starts off in the church, right? That's what all his movies. So yeah, you're gonna have the Christian theme of the movie being a part of the whole dynamic of that whole story. This is where it starts. First 10 minutes in, already with the fuckery. They pull the Richard Lawson's character, Clarence, sits and looks at Dallas and Dallas's mother as they're burying their brother. And what's sad is, Richard Lawson's character made a judgment call on the person that died. And of course, the mother didn't take too kindly to it. And she was mean mugging the whole congregation. So you felt the tension in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And then they take the fucking body out of the casket because she doesn't like the fact that the preacher judged the man that was lying, the brother that was Dallas's brother that was lying in the casket. She tells her boys to open the casket, take the body out the casket, and walk out like nothing ever happened. Like that was the wildest shit that I had ever seen in a movie, especially in an opening such as that one. They took the body out the casket, went to the truck, put the body in the truck and buried it out in the back of their home. And this is where we start seeing Ava, which is Megan Good's character. So I'm going to jump into as I go along in this. Ava is trying to make peace between the two warring families. Her family doesn't like their family. Dallas's family don't like it. So we've established that they basically hate each other. And if they hated each other so much, then why the fuck did they get married? If y'all hate each other that much and your families don't get along. And this is one of the problems with the movie that I found very troubling. They give no backstory. he gave no backstory to Dallas's family. How his mother ended up the way that she ended up with all them kids. How the how Dallas ended up being, how he treated Ava. Like he offered no backstory to Dallas's character. He just became a one-dimensional villain. Like even with Dallas, right? There has to be some redeeming characteristics of Dallas. You might agree with me on that. Even villains have some redeeming qualities. I mean, shit, even the Joker had redeeming qualities, and even though we know he's the villain of Batman, even the Joker had a backstory. So I'm confused as to why Tyler Perry never gave Dallas a backstory in this whole movie of how he ended up being the piece of shit that he is. And then, of course, 28 minutes in, we get to Rona. We get to Rona. Rona is this type of person, and everybody like she was the stereotypical chick. Like, oh, these you have this black men ain't shit trope. 28 minutes into the fucking movie, the black men ain't shit trope pops up, right? They're in the car driving. She's talking about da 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 da. You need to leave Dallas. You know how he treats you. Da 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 da. These niggas ain't shit. Da 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 da. You know, Rona is that stereotypical black single. It's stereotypical ghetto girl that, of course, wants Ava to leave Dallas. So it kind of fits into this sorry ass trope of the black men ain't shit stereotype. So I'm like 28 minutes in, I'm like, oh, here we go. The black men ain't shit trope. So we got that one. And then all of a sudden, Dallas, 28 minutes in, we see him at the restaurant. And well, let me pull that back. She's going to find Ava is going to find her husband. Her husband is at basically a honky tonk in the country. After they finish burying their brother, she goes to this basically a honky tonk, basically whatever the fuck it is in that countryside. But I'm like, what nigga is going to a honky tonk with country music? Like I never understood that one. Like all their brothers in there shooting pool and drinking, and then of course we see the character Benji. Benji's like this strapping black man and loyal, good post divorce black man. And I'm like, where's this shit going? Like where we, and then we get the back, and then we get this thing about Benji getting his ass whooped by all the Dallas's brothers and shit. He ends up whooping Dallas's ass at the honky tonk. And I'm like, yo, this shit is not believable. All these black men at a honky tonk on the countryside. What niggas listen to country music? You ask me that. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn, this shit is way off. Like he would have been in the back of a club. I could believe that shit. Like how are you from Atlanta and you on a countryside and it's just you hear all this country music playing in the background like they're country. Like it's niggas actually sitting around listening to country music and getting drunk at honky tonks. Like I didn't believe that shit looking at it. I'm like 28 minutes into this shit and I'm getting bored. And it just took a turn like it looked disjointed. We didn't get an explanation for why she left the house. She just left. Rona is the one that's trying to get Ava to leave, and she's like this concerned friend. But what I often see, what I've seen in Rona's character, which I never liked, it seemed like she tried to instigate the shit even more. Rona was the one that was basically twisting and screwing around with the fucking marriage because she just didn't like Dallas. And we never seen a backstory. Oh, I don't believe I don't care how she treat. I don't like how Dallas treats you. He's a piece of shit. Da 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 da. He gets that and then writes down the list of grievances of how he treats you. And he's like, just read this letter and just remind yourself how he treats you. I'm like, and we don't get an insight into what's in the letter. That's a big red flag for me. I'm like, can you give us an insight into what the letter says, how he treats you? Tyler Perry never reveals this shit. It's just this automatic assumption that he gives to his audience that well, Dallas is a piece of shit and he's an abuser, da 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 da. And I'm like, why give me a fucking reason to hate this guy? Give me a fucking reason. You haven't given me a fucking reason to hate Dallas. Piss poor writing, like I said. Piss poor writing on Tyler Perry's. Give me some fucking insight as to why you want me to hate Dallas. He never does that. He just puts the letter out and it's like, oh, we don't know as the audience what's in the letter. Give me a reason why I need to hate Dallas. You never give me a reason why to hate Dallas, but you give me every reason to like Benji. Doesn't make sense. He's a divorcee too. So give me one reason why I should hate Dallas and like Benji. Because he rescued him from that guy, Dallas, and Dallas is shown to be jealous, possessive, but he had every right to be because she's been seen with Benji at the carnival. And you didn't think other people were going to know about that shit? You live in a small town. That's what I don't understand. You we get introduced to Benji 48 minutes into the film. Him whooping Dallas's ass and putting him in the car. And then we get her going back to the house. He leaves the house. Dallas leaves the house. She packs her stuff and goes back to her parents' house. That didn't make no sense. Like what was the reason for why she wanted to leave? He doesn't give us an explanation of why. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's just he's telling us, well, Dallas is a very bad guy and he left her at the restaurant because he said, I want a divorce. So you want me to hate Dallas because he declared to everybody that he wanted a fucking divorce? Hmm. That's what makes an evil guy. That's what makes an evil guy. He's an evil piece of shit because he wants a divorce. Hmm. Rona, of course, instigates the shit between Ava and Dallas even more. Like, if there was one character I fucking hated the most was Rona. I couldn't stand Rona because she didn't know when to shut the fuck up half the time. Like, just shut up, shut up. Mind your fucking business. And the husband sitting there, I think Jim was his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, Jim sitting there letting his wife say whatever the fuck she wants to Dallas. And that's supposed to be your fucking friend. You don't defend your friend. You don't say, hey, baby, stay out of this. Stay out of it. Let the man do what he got to do. He ain't gonna say shit. Jim don't say shit. He the bitch in the whole relationship. Like I'm like, yo, Jim, you are a big ass bitch. You are a bitch. You let your wife say whatever the fuck she wants to people that you're friends with. Like I know for God, I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even try to instigate something like that between somebody. And she sat up there and she carried on. She said, "Don't you hear her talking to you? Don't you hear her talking to you?" It's just the attitude, the fucking sassiness. Like it just it's gotten my skin like ew. Don't you hear her talking to you? I'm like, haven't we all had that one chick that thought she was trying to protect her friend, only to find out she was just continuing to instigate the divisions between and the tension between both the her friend and her friend's boyfriend or husband. And we all have that story. He put the sassy black chick in the movie. Don't you hear her talking to you? And I'm like, why you why do you keep trying to egg this shit on? And then the thing about Rona and this is why I'm going way in on Rona because I don't fucking like Rona. I can't stand Rona. You want me to hate Dallas, but really, Tyler, you want me to hate Rona more than Dallas. I didn't find anything to hate about Dallas, but I found a lot to hate about Rona because Rona is the type of person she intervenes in the relationship. And it seems like in her relationship, she's trying to save somebody else's relationship or intervene in somebody else's relationship. Meanwhile, her fucking relationship is a wreck. And this was so troubling about the whole dynamic in the movie. You have Jim and you have Benji. It's kind of like in some ways is Dallas conscious in a sense. Jim's trying to save him. Benji whoops his ass because he's trying to, get at his conscience in a sense. Benji represents the type of man that every woman wants, whereas though Jim is kind of like this guy that's kind of like a complete bitch in a relationship. He's passive. He doesn't do anything. He just goes along with Rona and doesn't intervene to tell her, look, certain things you shouldn't do to keep egging this on because it's like you're trying to instigate the whole goddamn thing. Then when she leaves and goes back to the countryside, when Ava leaves the house and goes back to the countryside, like 50, we kind of 58 minutes in, and we see Richard Lawson's character outside of the whole pulpit thing. And it seems like Clarence Clarence is the type of guy he's trying to save his daughter because he's a father and he's a concerned father. But the issue that I have with Clarence is you made a judgment call against this man's family early on. And I know that you said, well, their family has been bad all around town. You know how bad their family is. And I'm like, what reason do I need to know to hate Dallas's family? They don't give you that, but they give you all this judgment. And I know damn well Clarence Clarence would have got his ass whooped if he said anything like that at a funeral of my family member. Clarence would have automatically got his ass whooped because you don't do that as a pastor. You just don't do shit like that as a pastor. But we all had that one pastor at the church, always trying to shame people, shame their congregation, or single people out because they don't want them to sin again, or that they were sinning all across the town. But those comments that he made, that Clarence made on behalf of a deceased relative, was unnecessary and could have swelled those tensions if he had to just maintain peacefulness between both of the families. But he wanted to instigate it. And Ava is just not this perfect little angel that people assume to be. Rona is just the devil incarnated in a sense, because Rona just instigates shit. But Ava is this type of person. She's manipulative. She's trying to sit up here and say she's trying to maintain the peace and keep the peace. If you know that people aren't good in the same vicinity of each other, why would you keep egging it on? It's like she lacks any type of sensibility, and she calls herself a good person. How you a good person and you trying to manipulate and change people for who they are? And Dallas made that point after the funeral. You're trying to change me, woman, and you can't just accept me for who I am. And I'm like, Dallas made a good point. You married the man, so why can't you accept him for who he is? Manipulation one. You want us to assume Ava is a victim, but she's not. She's not a victim of anything because she egged the shit on. She tried to turn Dallas into something that he wasn't, and she tried to fix him. When she knew she couldn't fix him, she got tired. And I'm like, hold up. Haven't we seen that before with black women? Where they'll marry a man for their potential and not for who they are, but they'll marry him for their potential. And that's where we get wrong with the dysfunction in the relationships. Ava married this man for his potential and tried to fix him because she thought, because that's what good godly Christian women do, fix a man up. And Ava, in a sense, is very manipulative. She's one of them type of women. She'll take a stray dog home or a stray pit bull and try to turn him into a puppy. Am I right? Am I right? Hey, Ava's the type of woman will take a stray pit bull and try to turn him into a house trained puppy. That's essentially what she had in Dallas. You tried to manipulate the man throughout the whole fucking movie. The man was being manipulated and he got tired of the shit. Now he's an asshole. But you knew what the fuck you were getting when you married the man. The only person I feel the most sorry for is Benji and Jim. I mean, if there were a contest between Benji and Jim, Jim is just a straight bitch. I'm sorry. If Benji had to get buff to keep from getting his ass whooped, I'm like, God damn. I'm like, that man went through it. Like he got tired of Dallas and his brothers whooping his ass, so that's why he got so buff, because he got and took wrestling because he got his ass kicked by all them Dallas's boys, brothers, and he got sick and tired of it. So I was like, I felt sorry for Benji because Benji is sitting up here taking the dysfunctions and the drama from a woman that, in hindsight, chose this man, and yet she's sitting up there saying, I should have married you. I should have been with you. First of all, you don't circle the wagon around somebody after you done dated somebody else, because that's not fair to him. Ava was like, I'm sorry, but Ava was the manipulative one in this whole movie. If you look at it, she was manipulative. Ava and Rona were the manipulative ones in the movie. They manipulated both men against each other. Jim was the bitch in the relationship. He couldn't control her or contain her, but yet he cheating on her ass, and their relationship is not even in the right place. But at the same time, he's the passive one in a relationship. Rona is the one that's the active one. Like, she's the man in the whole relationship. It's like Jim cut his balls off and gave him to Rona. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, God damn. Like, I feel sorry for Jim, because Jim is like a whole bitch in this film. And Benji is like the one that's really sacrificing his family. He already got a daughter he taken care of, just so he could sit up here and rescue Ava from a manipulative, like her manipulating and playing men against each other. And that's essentially what she did. She tried to play Dallas against Benji. Benji sitting in her home. I don't know who the hell would come up in a woman's home and fuck after they got divorced. After the ink wasn't even dry on the papers, had this man in this man's house, in this man's bed, fucking his wife. And then Rona had a cake and a divorcee party. She had a divorcee party. She really like this is where I totally lost respect. Hour and 15 minutes into the movie. I think it was an hour and 18 minutes into the movie. Rona throws Ava a divorce party. And then Benji pops up at the fucking party. How you know Benji though? How did you invite Benji to the party? So she was trying to manipulate the whole damn. Rona was manipulating the whole goddamn thing all along. And I'm like, she made a cake saying fuck you and bye. I was like, yo, she's leaning into this shit. She hate that nigga. She hate that nigga so bad. She made a fucking cake out of a heart and said fuck you and bye. It said fuck you and bye on the hat. I kind of bust out laughing. I'm like, yo, Rona is running this whole shit. Rona is the one that's really manipulative in this whole ordeal. And then they had Benji come to the party, and then they go to their house and fuck on this man's couch, in this man's bed. Like, that's the most Benji did the most disrespectful shit. I'm sorry, but when Benji, yeah, Benji had some beef with Dallas, but you basically fucked the man in the devil's den. You fucked in the devil's den. I wouldn't dare go over a woman's house after she done divorced her husband and fuck in his bed. That's just like, bro, that's like bro code violation one. That's multiple, that's multiple red flags right there of who Ava was. You are a manipulative, scandalous ass bitch. Like, she manipulated. Rona and Ava were instrumental in manipulating Dallas against Benji. They wanted to plant Benji against Dallas because they know Benji will whoop Dallas's ass. But you forget, Dallas got brothers. So who's to say they might have came back and killed Benji's ass? Cause ain't no man like that gonna take an ass whooping and then turn around, get choked out, and get thrown back into his car. Like, I mean, damn. Like you threw it, and then Ava dragged the body out the house, and I'm sitting here watching. I'm like, you ain't gonna help her, Benji. Like Benji, you sitting there, and you watching her drag her husband out the house. You could have picked this motherfucker up, put him in the car, closed the door. You waited until she got outside and then picked the body up, and then Ava looking at him like, help me out. I'm like, you could have helped out the whole time after you whooped his ass. Like, how you wait 10 fucking seconds after this chick then dragged this nigga out the house and then put him in the truck, closed the door, and said, don't come back here. I'm like, he sleep. He comatose. How he gonna know don't come back here no more? You gonna lock him out of his own house? That's the funny thing about that. Like, they signed the papers, but that doesn't keep him from going back to his own home. So how do you change the locks on somebody else's home? Because I know both of your names is on a mortgage, so y'all had to go to court to do that shit. Like, this is the stupid shit that Tyler Perry is doing. Tyler Perry, let me make this very abundantly clear. Tyler Perry is not fucking married. He's not fucking married. And he knows about divorce? Come on, bro. Come on. Come on. How do you write this shit? You don't sign no fucking dissolution to marriage just like that. It goes through a process. You have to petition for divorce and then sign the resolution papers. And then you got to go to court to do what is called a separation or a post-nuptial or whatever nuptial agreement to split up property. You couldn't keep that man from coming in his house talking about I changed the locks. How what you doing in here? I'm like, it's his house. It's his house. How the fuck you invite Benji to your house knowing this man was gonna come home? That didn't make no fucking sense. That shit really pissed me off. I'm like, you gonna bring the man into your house. You could have fucked him at a hotel room instead of bring this man to your house. And you thought that Dallas wasn't gonna come home after y'all were finished fucking? Or he could have came home, saw y'all fucking in his bed, and then the movie would have been over just as that because he would have killed y'all. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. How that makes sense movie wise. Because I promise you, it would not be a situation where I would invite somebody into my spouse's house where we live and fuck another man in a house that I paid for and put up money for. That doesn't make any sense. That whole movie was all over the place. And let me just make this clear again. Tyler Perry is not fucking married. So how the fuck would he know about divorce? Oops. He just threw some shit together, pieced it together, and didn't think about, oh, I forgot. I'm not married. I've never been married. Tyler Perry has not been married. Everybody's saying it's a good movie. How the fuck is it a good movie? You don't even know about marriage. Yeah, everybody will go to the movies. Everybody will go and watch his stupid shit. He's never been in a relationship. He's never been in a fucking marriage. But you got all these women coming to see his movies and saying, oh, Tyler Perry, Yeah, 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 Tyler Perry. I was, oh, I've been through that before. But he doesn't have any real life experience about what it means to be a divorced person. He makes up these fanatical characters. Stupid shit. It was all over the place. And I was looking forward to watching the movie, and I was like, hey, maybe I'll give it a chance. I can't get them fucking 2 hours back. I can't get them 2 hours back. It was a fucking mess. And then when we get to the middle part of the movie, which is an hour and 31 minutes in, it just didn't seem right. Dallas was sitting outside the bank in his truck. Rona sits up in there. He says, "Oh, I'm gonna call police and get a restraining order." I'm like, you should have called the fucking police the first time he came in the bank. How the fuck he get past security? That's another thing I don't understand. How the fuck he get past security? So if he came back in there a second time, guess what? They would have already knew who he was, and they would have called the police on him. All this time, Rona did not call the fucking police. Benji and all of them, Benji running after Ava like she's still not married. Jim sitting up there saying, "Oh, yeah, Dallas, go home, let it go, let it go." And I'm like, hold up. If somebody was sitting outside of a bank looking like they was about to do something, common sense would have told you to call the fucking police the first time. So how the fuck they not call the police the first time that he came up in that motherfucker? Like the whole story felt disjointed. The only time you see a police officer is the sheriff, because the animals all because Benji's animals all got poisoned and shit. He put Benji's animals livestock got poisoned, got killed. And we never really seen whether or not it was Dallas. We all he tells us automatically assume, look, all you need to know is Dallas is an evil person. That's all you need. He's the devil. And that goes back to the beginning, the first 10 minutes. Oh, that whole family is nothing but the devil. And he Tyler Perry makes us assume that Dallas is the evil person, but Ava is really the evil person in this whole entire movie. She manipulated two men. She slept with a man in her ex-husband's home that he partially owns. You can't sit there and tell him he can't come back in his house. You never filed a restraining order, even then. So it makes it seem disjointed and confusing in the beginning, like in the last middle part of the movie, which got me frustrated. It's like it was good in the beginning, and then it just like he takes us down this dark hole. And then out of all of this, the real evil characters in this movie are really Ava and Rona because they don't know how to have functional fucking relationships. You made choices that you know weren't good, and you kept allowing it to happen. And she keep on saying, "Oh, when you get towards the end, you see Dallas in the shopping mall in a grocery store grabbing up on what's the name character? It is another character, Gene. Dallas end up grabbing Gene's arm. The white girl is sitting there looking at Dallas, and I'm like, first of all, why would you stare at somebody that long and not call the police? Are you that stupid, Tyler? Are you this stupid? The reaction would have been an automatic shock. They would have got on their phone and called 911. You don't get away with no shit like that. Definitely in a grocery store out in public. Common sense would have had you believe, you know, Tyler Perry knows shit like this, but in reality, he doesn't know shit about dysfunctional relationships because his ass has never been in a fucking relationship. He's never been in a fucking relationship. Let me make this very clear. He writes movies about fucking relationships and he's never been in one. Be delusional all you want. Be delusional all you want. You keep watching Tyler Perry's movies. His movies don't make no fucking sense. You piece them together. It's like he pieced together so many. It was like watching a Lifetime movie, man. It's like he pieced the story together. It didn't have no continuity. You didn't know where the tension was. You didn't know where the story was going, but you knew what he was trying to do in the beginning was for all of us to sit there and hate on this one fucking man, Dallas. You want us to hate Linda because she birthed a whole bunch of kids. Linda is like, oh, they call her out being a devil and being evil, but Dallas is really the victim in all this. Dallas and Benji, because Ava manipulated Rona and Clarence and Jean against Dallas. And they made Benji look like the good guy and Dallas like the bad guy. Only one time we would see her, only one time we see her go back into the home. That's that after his brothers shot and beat up Clarence. You get in a car and go right back to the home knowing he ain't gonna come back there and shoot you. That's the stupidest shit. Why the fuck would you go back to the home where you know he gonna be waiting? It's like you literally sat up there and you waited for this man to try and provoke him to hit you. And that's essentially what she did. She manipulated him. Oh, let me tell you about I'm a good woman. And you pushed me, you brought the bitch out of me. You brought the bitch out of me. I'm like, brought the bitch out of you. Your whole your whole entire family was against this man from day fucking one. Day fucking one. And maybe Linda had a point that this girl was going to make your life miserable. And she did make his life a living hell. Manipulated him, tried to turn her friends against him, tried to turn her father and her mother against Dallas, made him look like the evil one in a relationship when in reality, she was the evil one at the end of all of this. Because for the simple fact, she never really liked him at all. She wanted to change him. And then when she didn't get what she wanted, she tried to bring the niggas ain't shit out of him. That's why he ended up beating the shit out of her. And then she come back with a fucking gun and shoot the motherfucker. That's murder right there, but she was justified in doing it. She did it in a way where, okay, I have a justifiable homicide. She wanted him to hit her because she couldn't take the psychological manipulation, even though she put psychological manipulation against him. So her thing was to provoke him to hit you so that way you have a justifiable cause to kill him. You want me to hate Dallas, but the person I should be hating and the person that you should be hating when you're watching a movie is Rona and Ava. Rona and Ava. Rona is just as manipulative. They both manipulative. Both Ava and Rona are fucking manipulative. What would you call manipulation in a relationship? Emotional blackmail. That's all the recipe for why she couldn't stay married. You turn a whole family against a man. Then Clarence tried to try to put Benji and Ava together after he got out of a divorce. So they're two post-divorce people that are trying to get remarried. It's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It would have been good if there were backstories and an improvement to the whole backstory of who Dallas was, but Tyler Perry doesn't want to give us this. He's fucking lazy. He's lazy as always because he has too many projects and he doesn't put any at this project was basically an afterthought for him. And that's essentially what he did. He did not focus on trying to tell the story. He just pieced together stories and scripts and put it together and then got somebody like Megan Good to and Corey Hardwick to play these characters. And they held up the story real well, but I would say Megan Good really held her own, of course, because she's a professional actor. She's been in this game for 35 years. So, you can't put nothing past Megan Good. But the whole story with Ava and all of that, I just feel like Ava was the real enemy in this whole entire movie. You made a choice, but Tyler Perry doesn't want us to think about the choices that Ava made when she was younger because she made a choice. She chose to marry Dallas. Even when she saw that the signs were clear that both the families didn't like each other, she chose to marry that man. And that goes back to the whole common denominator in the dysfunction of black female relationships. You think somebody forced you into this dysfunction, but you kept playing within the fucking dysfunction. You wanted to be a part of that dysfunction because you liked it. You got a sexual release from something like that. And this is what black relationships are mostly about. This is why Tyler Perry thrives off of giving us movies like this because we thrive off of dysfunctional relationships. He's telling you what you already know. But the thing about it is, you should never sit up and think that this type of movies are okay when the person that's writing them hasn't even been married and hasn't even been in a relationship and doesn't know how a relationship functions. Tyler Perry is still a single man. It's kind of like the single guy that writes love songs. You know, Luther Vandross wrote good love songs, but he was never married. None of these R&B singers are never married or they never stay married, but they know more about love than you, who's in a relationship. But he's trying to make us believe that Dallas is just this evil incarnate type of person when in reality it's Rona and Ava that are just the most nastiest group of people you could ever be in a relationship in. But I'm done with this rant, and I'm done making any more videos on Tyler Perry's bullshit because you know I'm right. I saved you 2 hours of your life by explaining the synopsis of this movie. Listen, don't waste your time, okay? You got better shows, movies on Netflix and on Prime. I advise you go watch this. Go watch those movies. Don't waste your fucking time watching a Tyler Perry movie. You will never get your life back watching a Tyler Perry movie. Okay, learn from my experience. I wasted 2 hours of my life watching that fucking movie. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of space. I couldn't stand Rona. I couldn't stand Ava. And to a certain extent, I couldn't stand Jim because he was just such a bitch. Like it's the bitchiest guy in the fucking movie. Jim was just a straight up bitch. He just a passive ass motherfucker. He looked like he was about to whoop Dallas's ass, but Dallas could have easily whooped Jim's ass and threw him in a folded his ass up, and threw him in the trash can. Talking about I'm 2 seconds off your ass. Already in the middle of it, now you want to talk that tough shit, but the first time you should have talked that shit was when y'all were at the restaurant. But you didn't do that then. But now you I'm two nigga, I'm 2 minutes off your ass. Like, what the fuck? Oh, now you want to be tough guy, huh? You was a bitch the whole time in the movie. Now you want to be a tough Tony talking ass nigga, huh? Talking out the side of your neck at Dallas. Man, get the fuck out of here, yo. I whoop his ass too. Whoop his ass too. You gonna be a tough ass motherfucker at the end of the fucking near the end of the fucking movie. I'm 2 minutes off your ass. Nigga, I'm 2 minutes off your ass. Get the fuck out of here, yo. Oh man, this has been another Media Talks TV. I'm Tony J. I'm getting that fuck out of here. Peace.